I've seen horrors that you've seen. Horror. Horror has a face, and you must make a friend of horror. Horror and moral terror are your friends. If they are not, then they are enemies to be feared. They are truly enemies. I remember when I was with Special Forces, seems 1,000 centuries ago, we went into a camp to inoculate some children. We left the camp after we had inoculated the children for polio. And this old man came running after us, and he was crying. He couldn't say. We went back there, and they had come and hacked off every inoculated arm. There they were in a pile of little arms. And I remember I cried, I wept like some grandmother. I wanted to tear my teeth out. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I want to remember it. I never want to forget it. I never want to forget. And then I realized, like I was shot with a diamond bullet right through my forehead. And I thought, my God, the genius of that. The genius, the will to do that.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Occult Rejects with your host, Lux.
And the NY Patriot.
Today we're coming at you. We have a brand new series that we're really excited about. Last couple of series we did were kind of technical with the occult, content, the Kabbalah series. We wanted to kind of switch it up and do some content that really shows how much movies, literature, shows that are on TV, how much they have occultism in it. And we wanted to cover probably the most infamous person who makes that type of content, and that would be Stephen King. So, it's going to be a fun one.
He's definitely known for weird and horror. So both can very much go along with the occult, I think. Or at least a lot of horror, I think, can be occult stuff as well.
Yeah, and if you look at his background and stuff, of course, everything that we'll cover for episode 1, it's pretty clear that his influences are definitely based in occultism, and it makes its way into the books. And I got a feeling that he knows way more about the occult than he's letting on to, and that's helping him to form these stories or write them or whatever. But also at the same time, I think it's sort of some of his books are there's stories that are being told from other occult orders and stuff that are just have a new sort of
new spin on it.
New trapping or spinning on it. Yep.
He just dresses it up a little bit differently.
Right. And that's what, I was kind of wondering what your thoughts on him using some of these stories as possible tulpas.
Oh, I never
you know what I mean?
Thought of that, yeah. The stuff that I've read and the stuff that we'll cover later on, his books definitely, I think, show occult archetypes. I would almost say that he kind of takes an idea in occultism and then writes a story about it in his own way. I've never thought of it being as a living tulpa in a sense, but it's quite possible actually.
That's what I just kind of when I was reading a lot of his stories, it's the first thing that came to my mind because, again, it reminds me so much of other occult stories or tales I've heard or archetypes. I was thinking, man, is this just the continuation of the same story, thus creating a living tulpa?
Yeah.
Just told in a slightly different way, and it's still integrated into society now, just carrying on that tradition.
Oh, that for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Then I would agree. Then I would definitely consider some of his writings tulpas in a sense for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
So
like
who knows?
when we get to it, even like I even think like the whole 1408 thing was really like a whole occult story. I mean, even like other things that we'll get into. In my opinion, it's just stories of occult archetypes or scenarios, and he just dresses it up and makes a story out of it.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I grew up with Stephen King. I don't know about you, man, but a lot of the books that I read as a kid, movies, they were some of my favorites, like The Shining, and it's kind of weird to go back and to revisit those stories and see how much occultism I was exposed to it as like a young kid, and then
Oh
thinking
yeah,
to
yeah,
myself,
yeah, yeah.
like, that's the reason why we're talking about this, because who knows how much it's influenced others, and so kind of going back and unraveling these stories just will help to shed some light on the stuff that we were reading and watching, and they're still reading and watching as kids, or even if you're just a everyday reader, you're being told an occult story.
Mm. I mean, even in a Pet Cemetery, he does mention, which I remember I thought was interesting because when we covered Skinwalker Ranch, he even mentioned something about where they're burying the animals is on Micmac burial ground. I mean, that's going back to Indian shit again, just like Skinwalker, and that burial ground is what brought life back to the dead animals that were buried. Just
Right.
seems very, I don't know, coincidental, I guess.
Right, that was the name of the tribe, one of the tribes that
Yes.
was around. Yeah, Skinwalker. Right, out of all the tribes to pick, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly
That's
right.
the one. So,
Yeah, very interesting.
I guess we can go ahead and just jump right into it here. So this is, of course, a quote that I found kind of weird, bizarre, and man, there's a lot of truth being told there in that one. Miss Cole was a perfect Democrat. She hated all kids equally. Oof.
That was nice. And that's in oh, what is that in It too? It says there. I thought that was like a Stephen King quote, like a post or something. That's out of It. Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
So again, it's like some of the stuff being communicated that you would not necessarily, I think a lot of this stuff could possibly be his opinion. I don't know, but it's a lot of times when you write stories, you're expressing your own opinion in the story.
That is a good point. A lot of writers tend to do that.
Yeah, and I don't know. And the more that we kind of get into them, we'll figure out there's so much ties to the Democrat Party. Kind of will reinforce that idea.
Love that pick.
Thought this one was interesting.
Yeah. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I have, maybe it will probably be for episode 2, or if I show it today, I do think I have a picture of him holding Dr. Sleep book up and covering one eye with it, too, in the picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, he's holding it up to where he's covering one eye and he's showing the Dr. Sleep book.
Huh. Because I tried to look into, when it comes to King, I tried to find, has he ever been associated with an occult order, anything like that? I couldn't find anything that just outright said, yeah, he was a part of the Masons or something, but it's little hints like this,
Mm-hmm.
You look at some celebrities, they're very open about being in Masonic orders or any type of occult order, but if he is in one, it's definitely not public.
Yeah, I actually started Googling his name, like Stephen King Mason, Stephen King Shriner, Stephen King Jester, Stephen King, a whole bunch of different types of things, just seeing if somehow there was something that would pop up. And I was like, fuck yeah. It doesn't come out and say it, but, who knows?
Me too. And have you noticed that when you, especially since we started the show, why is it that search results are so different? Like, it's almost like everything that you would normally see, there would be way more results back in the day for if you typed in something like that. Now you type those terms, because I was doing the same thing as you were. It just brings up a bunch of nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But we can get into the background here, of course. Born September 21st, 1947. Of course, you all know how much writing that he's done. He's got a ton of awards. You can pause this and read more if you want to, but try to keep this part pretty quick because I'm sure that most of you are aware of who Stephen King is. So he was born in Indiana with the surname Pollock, changed it to King as an adult. King's mother was Nellie Ruth King, and his parents were married in Scarborough, Maine. And then they moved to, I guess it's Chicago, and then New York.
Of course, New York.
Yeah, and Chicago, like Illinois. I mean,
New York's got all the weirdos and weird shit.
it's like either that or Utah.
Yeah, it's just gonna be one of the two, right? That or Florida. You always got the crazy Florida news clips. Florida.
Yeah. It's like the big five, you know? It's like New York, Boston, Texas,
Yeah,
Indiana,
Texas,
Florida.
One, yeah. What was his birthday again?
September 21st, 1947.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and that was in Portland, Maine.
All right, yeah. I was trying to think of like the numbers with his fucking birthday. Got
me too.
9 and then a 3, but then I don't know the age. I mean, the year he was born.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Sorry.
No, that's funny. I was doing the same thing, trying to break it down. But apparently he was raised as a Methodist Christian, but that changed over time. But as a child, King apparently witnessed one of his friends being struck and killed by a train. Though he has no memory of the event, his family told him that after leaving home to play with a boy, King returned speechless and seemingly in shock. One day later, the family learned of the friend's death. So they even say that this may have psychologically inspired King for some of his darker works, but he apparently doesn't remember it. And talks about how as he kind of was growing up, he would read H.P. Lovecraft, and we'll go into that later because that's an occult author.
Definitely.
So just talks here about, more stuff and growing up. And then he went to the university in Maine in 1965 and graduated in 1970 with a Bachelor's of Art in English. So you can pause this if you want anybody. Again, not going to take too long on this one, but this is kind of telling you his beginnings and then what eventually leads to him getting pretty popular, which would be Carrie. Carrie is sort of the jumping off for King.
Yeah. Oh, that was his first book, wasn't it? I think. Or his first, published book.
Right. Yep. And then I believe he sold it or something, and then the new stuff came after. Salem's Lot in 75, The Shining in 77, Stand in 75, published in 78. So I guess we could, if you want to, we could get into the sort of the influences of where he got some of the ideas or material for his books from his influences, if you want to get into that now.
Yeah, I think I think some of those are rather interesting, actually, to tell you the truth. If you look at the people that influenced them, or he says influenced his writing.
Yeah.
It's just questionable in itself, some of them.
Well, and this one here, right here, of course, is alarming. The Satanic Verses, one of his influences. I mean, Satanic Verses that's Anton LaVey, right?
Yeah,
Satanic Verses.
Wasn't that also? Didn't Jack Dorsey even post on Twitter about that shit one time? The Satanic Verses. Why he was holding his kid reading something, whatever. That's fucking wild.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like more or less. I guess you could call it the Satanic Bible, really.
Yeah. But you do remember him doing that, right? That was Jack Dorsey.
I'm not sure if it was Dorsey, but I know the clip that you're talking about. He held it up with like a kid on his knee, right?
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was Jack Dorsey. Yeah. Only reason I'm even bringing that up is because it was recently I had somebody on my show show that said that Jack Dorsey needs to take back over Twitter. And I was like, you were just going on about pedophiles, and now you're saying Jack Dorsey needs to take over Twitter to save social media. So I was a little confused about why a person who was going on about pedophiles thought we should have a pedophile who's posted about satanic verses taking over Twitter. I don't know. I was a little confused. But yes, looking at it now, Jack Dorsey and the satanic verses. Yes, he did post that on Twitter.
He's got a lot of weird occult videos, in my opinion, especially when he took that hiatus and he went to like the mountains or something. Then he came back, and I think it was some type of congressional hearing, and he had a bunch of weird occult jewelry on. He's always on my radar. Mm-hmm. Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, mine too, which is what blew my mind. How we, the truther in the conspiracy community said that he should take over Twitter. I was just like, hey, can you say that again? Can you please repeat that? I don't think I heard you right the first time.
Can you turn up the volume?
Yeah.
Can you turn up the volume?
All right. Enough of that.
So, check this out at the very top here before we get to the bottom stuff. When asked why he writes, King responded, The answer to that is fairly simple. There was nothing else I was made to do. I was made to write stories, and I love to write stories. That's why I do it. I really can't imagine doing anything else, and I can't imagine not doing what I do. He is often asked why he writes such terrifying stories, and he answers with, why do you assume I have a choice? King begins the story creation process by imagining a what-if scenario. Sort of like, what if a writer is kidnapped by a satanic nurse in Colorado? So that's like where that's the process that he even starts to write a book. I just thought it was funny that he mentioned like the satanic nurse. I mean, so some of his influence there, H.P. Lovecraft, obviously a very occult writer, a socialist as well, and wrote Call of Cthulhu or whatever the hell they call that.
Call of Cthulhu.
Cthulhu and the other weird stories is what's the name of that one. And then The Shadow over Innsmouth, The Whisper in Darkness, which talks all about ET life, skeptics, and how they're having these sightings of UFOs. Also wrote The Dunwich Horror. It's got obvious dark black magic witchcraft. Necromancy is involved in the book, which is often used in a lot of HP's books, and is always connected to, through the storyline, through the books, is always referencing this thing called the Old Ones.
Yeah.
So sort of like these fallen angel things,
Or the old gods. I think it's like the same thing. Yeah. Oh, you know what? And when I was covering this guy, I don't, and I hate to bring up Apocalypse Now again, but that thing of I did read something about like him in horror, and it started making me think about that scene in Apocalypse Now when Marlon Brando is actually going on. In my opinion, it's a very deeply occulted part of the movie. He does go on about making friends with horror. So I think like I can see a little bit of that in what King was getting at too.
Yeah.
If people have any idea what part I'm talking about in the movie, you'll understand what I'm getting.
Yeah. Also, one of the inspirations was Lord of the Flies, which arguably I think is a pretty occult book.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Also, 1984, which again has a lot of occult stuff in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or at least, I mean, that's, it's showing you what's going on now. I mean, fuck.
Exactly. It's showing you this dystopian future. Mm-hmm. And that'll come up even later. I mean, it's wild. But the other influence was Arthur Machen. And so this was the author who wrote The Great God Pan. Mm-hmm. So talks about Pan being this, great god Pan. And he was also friends with A.E. Waite, which is the creator of the Rider-Waite tarot deck. And Waite was a Golden Dawn member. And then later, Machen joined the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn.
There you go. I mean, that would
Golden
still
Dawn,
work,
too.
right? It's phallic energy. I mean, fucking Golden Dawn.
Yeah.
Golden Rising. Grand Rising. Grand Rising with the Golden Dong.
Oh, the Golden Dawn. This is like what is it? From was it Goldfinger?
Oh God. Gold member.
Gold member, yeah, where
Holy
he's got the
fuck.
Golden Dawn.
Oh my God.
So yeah, man, he was a proud standing member of the Golden Dawn. So they kind of tried to say that, you know, as time went on, he wasn't really so much involved. Arthur mentioned, but who knows really? But yeah, he's definitely a member and a direct influence to King. So that's interesting for sure. Some other stuff here. Poe, he got influenced by Poe and the Masquerade of the Red Death, which we've run out of time. You know, who knows? Maybe I'll cover that. I got some on it, but might not include it because it's just sort of redundant. So of course, just going over his political views real quick. You know, he's a very left Democrat. Of course, you know, supported Barack Obama. Called Glenn Beck he called Glenn Beck Satan's mentally challenged younger brother.
Oh man.
Yeah, so like his whole entire career really has been supporting Democrats, especially in 2020. Joe Biden, you know, he helped out with that campaign. So very left-leaning person. The thing that really cracks me up about this slide in particular, though, is that in 2022, I guess after the invasion of Ukraine, King had like uploaded maybe a picture with him wearing a Ukraine shirt saying that he supports Ukraine. He actually got trolled. So right here in July 2022, Stephen King appeared in a video call with the Russian pranksters, Vohan and Lexus, who played the role of Vladimir Zelensky. And in the call, Stephen King actually thought that it was really Vladimir Zelensky. He thought it was the president of Ukraine. But it wasn't.
Oh, that's
it was just
fucking awesome.
It was them pranking him, and he didn't pick up on it at all. Later, he, I guess, apologized because he didn't realize it at the time that it was a prank call. But that's crazy, dude. I wanted to try to get a hold of some of that audio. That would have been perfect.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
He fucking fell for it. Oh, my God.
Let's see. Oh, so here, just going over some of the struggles that he's had, because I think this is pretty important in my opinion, and why I've talked about this quite a bit. The more that you seem to get into occultism, I've noticed in my personal experience in the Golden Dawn that people were really addicted to a lot of things. You know, the longer that they were in, they just started to get more, smoking more cigs, like drinking more beer. I would just notice it. I was like spending more time with these people. And it was like this constant need for something new to be addicted to.
Oh,
and I don't, like, do you think that's connected to the occult?
I think that's what happens when you are in the occult and you're being mind fucked. I think that when you don't, like my opinion, that's the same thing with the OTO, and I think it's because they were not actually understanding what real magic is. They were believing the bullshit, and that tends to make you more attached to earthly things, more of a social justice warrior. You start really worrying about actually everybody else's will instead of your own. You know, so I could see the OTO, I wouldn't say so much with materialistic things, but the whole idea of other people saving other people and certain sexual shit. Very earthly. And I think that is all due to a misunderstanding and the the stuff that's being handed to them or being presented to people in secret societies can be handed in the wrong way. You know, so people purposely misunderstand, and I think that will be the side effect of it, is what you're getting at with the Golden Dawn and what I experienced at the OTO. That long answer. Sorry.
No, and that was very well said. I get a feeling that maybe you start to, because you're getting information, you're trusting people. There's like this, I don't know, maybe there's like a thing that a void that you have to try and fill, right? And so sometimes people are filling that with, substances or whatever.
That's exactly what I mean. Like real magic, in my opinion, you'd be going with inside yourself and seeing what the problem is and fixing that hole. When I think you understand the magic and the way that secret societies are, you're going to take tangible things and stuff it in that hole, thinking you're fixing it, and you're not. It will just be a garbage disposal that you can keep tossing shit into, and it will just eat it up, and nothing will ever be enough. Mm-hmm. And then you've just produced a bunch of Scarlet Whores as members instead.
Right. And, I mean, you're always looking for someone else to tell you the right answer. So, you know nothing. You're the only information you're getting is from these people above you. So I think it kind of creates this need, because then now you have a savior there. You have someone who's giving you all the information, coming to help you out. And then so I think it translates to...
Or you thinking you need to be a savior.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. And then just filling yourself with stuff to fill in the gaps that I think certain occultism can do over time.
Fuck yeah, for sure. Totally agree with that.
But he went down quite the downhill slide. He was addicted to cocaine, Xanax, Valium, NyQuil, Robitussin, and even mouthwash. His family threw an intervention for him after they looked into his office and they found that he had all these things in there that he was hiding. So he claims that he became sober in 1980s, and that was right around the time that he was writing Needful Things. So just interesting.
Fucking mouthwash.
Yeah.
This guy was robo-tripping with NyQuil and Robitussin and then fucking mouthwash? What the fuck?
I mean, yeah. I know, right? Imagine that. It's got to be like the worst. It's got to be the worst trip of your life.
I knew people when I was younger that did that robo-trip shit, and they all, regretted it the next day. They just felt like total shit. I couldn't imagine someone, making that a thing. Even fucking mouthwash. Jesus Christ.
Right, and doing all the same things at the same time. I mean, dude, mouthwash that's a crazy one. I have seen it on intervention before because, certain mouthwashes have a percentage of alcohol, and you can drink it. It makes you really sick as shit, but you can still do it, and I guess that's what was going on here.
Yeah, I know in Robitussin or, there's something that D something. I forgot. There's a certain chemical in it that will actually make you kind of trip, too. It's fucking weird. Yeah. Jeez.
They probably were like, man, his mouth always smells so clean.
Guy never has bad breath. He must brush his teeth constantly.
Right.
As they're falling out from the cocaine that he's sniffing.
All right. You would also notice that you're going through a lot of mouthwash too. You know what I'm saying?
I'd love to know, if he wrote any books on this shit.
Yeah. I don't know. Crazy, crazy stuff, man. So, just another thing to kind of take into the whole picture as we're looking at King and.
Oh, you know what I would even toss in too, though, and I think we had spoken about this. Yeah, this is when you actually told me about the mouthwash thing, because I didn't even know about that. And we were talking about the drugs. I would also, in my opinion, and I have seen it in, was even in, Strange Angel. Heroin kind of was a thing with them. And I do think at some point drug use, and possibly could switch over to drug addiction, I think can also be used by magicians to kind of not level themselves back out, But I think from the effects of magic just kind of fucking you up, you might kind of look to drugs to deal with it. Hard to explain, but I do think maybe fucking with magic can leave you to having a addictive personality for some sort of drug too, in my opinion.
Right. Definitely, man. And it's an earthly thing, so it grounds you in a
Yes,
way.
yeah.
You know, and especially like I say this, you know, not sound crazy myself, but when you're in a secret society for so long and you're doing a bunch of these rituals and they're telling you you're going to see things that other people don't see after you do this ritual for so long, it makes you it makes you like an outsider. It makes you think, am I crazy because I'm seeing this stuff? So it's another way to try and ground yourself to the earth because you're having this experience that no one else is having, and it's very occult. So it's like a way to deal with it, you know?
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I think. I think drugs can be a way to deal with magical effects that tend to linger, maybe.
And look at all the really big occultists. I mean, a lot of them have had serious addiction problems.
Yes. Yep.
You know? So.
Yeah, Crowley's a good example.
Right. I mean, that was sort of like his entire personality towards the last, decade of his life was just totally, becoming consumed with drugs and sex.
Yep. And like I've mentioned before tons of times, I forgot. I wish I knew the name of the video again. I forgot what it was called, but Wasserman did have he had a video where I think he was talking about a book that he did, and he did mention that when he started the lodge in New York, he said there was a lot of drugs and sex involved. Like, I think specifically heroin he mentions, too.
Huh.
So, who knows? I mean, that could be for all sorts of reasons. But.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that's a very big stretch at all.
No.
I know a lot of people who have been involved in the occult and developed a lot of addictive personalities. So.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know. I mean, there was one. It shows you how. I didn't even. When I first started smoking weed again, when COVID came around, I really didn't know anywhere to get it. And I was getting it from somebody that I used to know from the lodge that I went to that also stopped going. And I mentioned it to I don't know if it was him or somebody else in the lodge that was just like, I had told him, I was like, it's funny. I said it took like 4 or 5 people that I had asked from the lodge if they knew anywhere I could actually, get weed from. I said, until I got an answer, I was like, I'm actually kind of surprised, more people didn't smoke weed there. I had no idea. Like I said, I had just started smoking. And the kid's remark to me, actually, it's funny that we were talking about this now. He says, well, if you were looking for harder shit, you probably would have found it easier. And I was like, really?
Shit. Right.
I was like, fuck, is it really party time like that? The whole thing is why I was going. I wasn't getting high off of weed or anything really. So drugs or looking for, I guess, a drug addict type of personality just wasn't in my, what I was looking for or looking at.
Right.
So, but, according to this person, who will remain nameless, they did tend to think that there was a lot of coke and heroin use.
That's crazy.
Regardless if that's true or not.
Maybe after hour stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I know for a fact the person that threw the DMCA slap on me sniffs coke. So I mean, that's one person.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. She actually has a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio sniffing coke off of a hooker's ass in her fucking living room. So.
Like in a picture frame?
Oh yeah, up on the wall. That if you walk into her place, you're gonna see it. So I mean.
What?
Yep. So,
wow.
Yeah, that's the cunt that threw the DMCA slap on me. Well, the lawyer for our lodge that I know has done it to Leo Zagami, I'm sure she's the one who did it to me. So.
Right. Yeah. Definitely something up with that. I totally agree with you, dude. That's occultism. For some reason, it just happens when people go off the deep end. They don't have self-control. They're being misled in different secret societies, and it happens.
Yes, it does.
So this other thing, switching gears a bit, I forgot I actually had these slides, this one in the wrong spot, but just wanted to point out that in August of 2022, there was a case brought by the U.S. the Justice Department, to block $2.2 billion merger of Penguin Random House and Simon and Schuster.
Simon and Schuster.
Mm-hmm.
That was Random Nautica.
How many times have they popped up?
A lot.
It's like all the time.
You know what's funny is that I had 2 screenshots of showing like all the books that he had under Simon and Schuster, and I was like, yeah, I'm never going to bother. So at least you brought it up, because a fuck ton of his books are all put out through Simon and Schuster.
Yeah. But apparently he was going to testify. I don't know what happened to that, but yeah, that was a huge, huge merger. And I think what that points out as a whole is that, look at it. It's saying that there are 2 of the big 5 book publishers. They were attempting a merger. So all the books that are being produced, most of them are all coming from one of the 5 big book publishers.
Mm-hmm.
So think about how much that can control the knowledge that gets out to the public.
Yeah. That is a very good point. It's like the news stations, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they? Was it like 6 or 7 different owners for all the news stations? It's like the same thing with fucking books, I guess.
Right. So, and I think it was with, which was it? The Frankfurt Institute, where we covered a lot of their stuff was being published by Simon and Schuster, or was that a different company? I think it was. So it was even like college books.
Yeah, I know we've come across them, I think, at least twice. One was for Random Nautica and one was for another one. I can't remember exactly what it was. But it's not a name we haven't heard before. That's for sure.
The Shakespeare series or ep that we did.
It could be that
we mentioned them.
I don't remember, unfortunately. Yeah. It starts to become a blur.
Right, it all starts to blur after a while.
Yeah.
So, this is a picture of his house. Wanted to show this real quick.
Bangor, Maine. That's where he's using his gold member.
His golden dung.
Yeah. Bangor, Maine.
Yeah. This I just thought was weird. You got the 2 pillars. Could be nothing. Who knows? Or maybe just trying to be spooky, Halloween all year round, whatever. But, got a 3-headed dragon here.
Oh.
On one of the posts.
That's interesting that he has a dragon. Could be some beast symbolism there.
For sure. And, we talk about Jabulon, like the 3-headed beast, You see that a lot in occultism with these 3 heads. Especially you see it in the Bible, too, a lot.
Yeah.
I thought it was strange.
I think a lot of times the 3-head thing is to represent all 3 pillars.
Yeah, I do, too.
And then I think even the 2 wings representing like both halves of the head, and then there's or the brain, and then you have the middle one. Something to that effect, I think.
Right, like coming together for the middle pillar.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, yeah. So apparently his eldest son believed that there were ghosts on the grounds of this house. So more occultism, sort of going back to the where this person is living, and it's just kind of a coincidence that the son was talking about there being ghosts in the house.
It's like it could be like Zach Baggins. You know what I'm saying? He purchases like all these things that supposed to have activity. Well, not purchase. Yeah, he is buying them actually. Yeah, he's bought property purposely, I think, because of like the shit that's happened there. So, why wouldn't somebody else?
I mean, and look at this. Looks creepy to me. Just the house in general looks creepy to me. It's just not a house I would ever buy.
Yeah, I'd be interested if that stuff that was that already there, or did he have that added, like those dragons and shit?
Good question.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah,
it's very interesting.
Picture real quick with him, his wife, and his son. And I don't know if you see what I see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is that? I thought it might have been a butterfly at first. The 3-leaf clover.
Mm-hmm. Which we talked about in the Kabbalah series of how that's an occult symbol all in itself.
Hell yeah. Nice.
So I thought that was
A
pretty
good catch.
Pretty wild. I was just like scrolling through and I said, wait, what the fuck is that? So again, that represents, in my opinion, like you just said, the three pillars. The balance, Banah, Chokmah, and Kether all together creating this balance. And then you got the color green. I mean, yeah, if anybody wants to go and dig deep into the three-leaf clover stuff or shamrock stuff, go back to the Kabbalah series, episode 3. We break that down pretty well.
Oh.
We never sleep.
I like that
It's
one.
the left eye.
Oh. Oh, yeah, it is. Yep. That's interesting. The right one we covered then.
Mm-hmm. So just found that one. Just wanted to cover real quick. This is, some of just, we're going to touch on it real lightly because we're going to go deeper into books in the next 2 episodes. But wanted to talk about this one. I found this particularly weird and just wanted to bring it up real quick. This is a book that King wrote called The Institute, and it's about a secret government project that tracks children gifted with psychic abilities, mainly telepathy and telekinesis, and the children score high when these readings, and then they more or less bring them to a school that's a black site, and these rare children are kidnapped and their parents are murdered, and they put them in what's called the Institute. So this is like MK Ultra stuff, Stranger Things stuff, and this was written.
I was going to say, I saw Stephen King wrote Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Maybe he created another pen name, and that's the person who wrote Stranger Things.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Because it is so similar. Like I was even thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. If King wrote this, I'm surprised that some of the stories that have come out are like Stranger Things or what is it, the OA. I wonder why he never hits them with a copyright strike, because they're so similar to what's going on here. I don't know. Just weird.
That's a good point. He did sue. Well, we'll get to it when I cover it. He did actually... The Lawnmower Man. I was like, oh, this is a great one. This is, showed AI back before AI was like really like even talked about a popular. And it was so off base of what his book was about. He actually sued the people who made the movie and won because it was nothing like the book. So interesting that then he doesn't care when other people rip him off.
Right. I mean, look at this. These kids are being trained as assassins or psychic weapons by the U.S. government or the deep state or the global cabal behind them. I mean, using psychic children that have powers that can affect people across great distances by groupthink or creating a master mind, a hive mind.
That was just fucking hive mind.
Yeah. So, yeah, and they actually mention Project Camelot in the book. And that's a real project, in a real life project.
Yes.
So,
what's the name of it again? I'm sorry. Say that again.
Project Camelot.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It was funny. I had heard of that, and then I was like questioning. I remember when I came across that, because I've heard of that before. I was even questioning the whole, like I used to listen to back in the day, Project Camelot. And I was like, very interesting. I don't know. But it is,
right.
It was a podcast with Kerry Cassidy, who I think was like a total shill. It's just funny how, like, I had always wondered, like, was the Project Camelot really you guys mind fucking your listeners?
Oh, shit.
But I have heard of that, Project Camelot. And what was that actually for, if you know? Do you know offhand?
I don't remember right off the top of my head. We had talked about it a while ago.
Yes.
Something we could possibly cover, but it's from what I can remember. So don't hold my feet to the fire on this one, guys. But from what I can remember, Camelot is this exact project. It was sort of like an extension of MK Ultra, and like between MK and Gateway Project, the years in between. That's when they were doing Project Camelot. So, yeah, And of course, this is a fictional book. I'm not saying that these things are actually, these events that he's describing in the book are real. I'm just saying that it's based off of actual events that he's then integrating into the book. So to me, to write about such a secret project that you can't get much information about, I mean, to me, it looks occult inspired, or at least very knowledgeable of what Camelot was. So,
yo, look what he even said. What happened in Vietnam? Kerry Cassidy of Project Camelot asked Duncan. Holy shit. That's who I was just talking about.
What, Cassidy?
Yeah, I said Kerry Cassidy of Project Camelot. It says it right there on your fucking thing.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that until you just, because I was reading down here at the bottom part where it talks about 12 kids and 12 batteries. I didn't even see it up at the top. That's crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So people can pause it more. It's talking about, what they do, how they trigger these kids or program them to be remote viewers, a bunch of stuff. So the other book that I wanted to bring up real quick, you see that he did participate in 1983. This is an anthology of secret societies, sex, and the supernatural. Stories by Frank Harris, H.G. Wells, Edward D. Howitt, and Stephen King. So he must know something about the occult there. Adding to it for this anthology.
Oh, yeah, Project Camelot was the code name of a counter-insurgery study in the United States in 1964. It was a project that was methods for predicting and influencing social change and internal war potential. Sounds nice.
Yeah. Shit. Yeah, that's the one where they were trying to. Yeah, I remember exactly what you're talking about. Well, there was two of them together. It's Project Camelot and another, like a sister project right alongside, where they were dabbling with that, how to create chaos in other countries, and then sort of like these psychic abilities.
Oh, Gladio started in the 50s. Maybe they were both running at the same time, because Gladio was like pretty much like with Italy doing that.
Yeah, and it's one of those.
Which I think Italy was doing here prior to 1950 with the mafia, but that's a whole other topic.
Oh, for sure, dude. I don't know if you wanted me. I can keep going with some of the book covers.
Oh yeah,
where we can jump to your stuff.
No, finish with your book covers, man.
To me, I see a lot of serpent symbolism or abyss symbolism.
Yeah, it could even be like the black sun that's the spiral again that we constantly see.
And then you have the hermit right here, right?
Now, is that like a wolf, you think? Because
it looks like it to me.
Yeah, I really do think like it could stand for flow going backwards. Just like that tarot card with the wolf and the dog. I do think that is God and flow, silly as that sounds. So. Yeah,
and it's almost like, in my opinion, it's showing the movement from the sixth sphere on the tree, which would be Tiferet, and then moving across to Chesed, because the path in between is the hermit. So I think this is partially showing the travel from the abyss from those two spheres. Who knows? Just sort of first thoughts that came to mind.
That's really good. I wouldn't have caught that hermit. That was a nice catch, dude.
Yeah, just with the way that the lantern is being held out with the straight arm.
That's really good.
Like if it was by his side, I wouldn't even have necessarily picked it. It's just, I was like, oh shit, wait, that's the hermit.
Yep.
And then you would have the moon tarot card.
Had the wolf on it that we covered.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Good catch, bud. Yeah, well, I don't think I would have picked up that hermit.
Yeah, I just happened to see it. This one's a crazy one too.
God, she's got
fairy tale.
Eye covered with a butterfly.
Right. And that's why I think it's probably going back. Again, when we look at like the Camelot stuff or, Operation like Project Monarch, where they were doing a lot of this mind control, I think that's kind of harkens back to that too. We already know he's talked about Camelot in other stories, so maybe that's another nod or a cult nod. Then the mouth is covered. Silence of Banat.
Yeah.
She's got the queen. She's got the crown on her head.
That's another good one, actually. Maybe inspired the masks.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, dude. And like the crown on the head, Corona. Right?
Yeah.
Corona means crown. Then you have, I think this, to me, is kind of showing symbolism of the Scarlet Whore again.
Yeah.
As the color changes at the top.
Yep. And and as you go, as you would go up. I mean, even if you look at the bottom, you have like blue, sky blue, then you have clouds, and then as you go up, and if you go from Chesed to Benai, then you would experience, supposedly silence, and that would cover the mouth. And this is it's a pretty good cover.
Then having the left eye showing the left path,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, that's the point is why we're breaking this down, guys, is because anybody would look at this cover and not think anything of it. Like, oh, whoa, crazy cover. But whoever made this cover, what'd you say?
How artistic or how abstract.
Yeah. Right. And like, whoever made this cover, man, they know occultism. This is not by chance.
Yeah. I think, unfortunately, a lot of artists that people think that, I mean, what are you going to sit there and spend fucking days, months, how long? And then you're like, oh, this is what I created. And like people think like, oh, that must have just taken so long to come up with. It's so random. No, the motherfucker knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Like it's just not just random shit that just, fucking, it took me 3 weeks to think of a butterfly to put on there. No,
right.
You knew exactly what the fuck you were going for.
And then you look at it across a bunch of other mediums in art or in music where they're using the same symbology. It's clear that this is just an occult principle that's being put out and the public doesn't see it.
Yes.
So, Eyes of the Dragon. I think this one's Quetzalcoatl, in my opinion, because you have the feathered serpent.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's Quetzalcoatl right there. For sure. I think so. I mean, and not to go into it just because of all the stuff that you're going to get into. That's what makes me think it's definitely Quetzalcoatl as well.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of a theme that keeps coming up. And I'll probably, I guess it would be episode 2. I get it way in depth with the Quetzalcoatl stuff with the book that I'm going to cover. So, yeah, it should be pretty crazy.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Got the medicine wheel again.
Yep, the medicine wheel, the wheel of fortune,
Yeah.
The 4 seasons or the 4 directions.
Yeah, that's even the X that's involved with, God, I'm probably going to screw this up. I think Jupiter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Jupiter sigil has the circle, I think, with the X through it and stuff like that.
It does, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and he does mention Wheel of Fortune. I think me and you have both noticed him mention it a few times.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a constant theme. This one, you got more of the butterfly symbology.
Guy likes the butterflies, huh?
Right. Crossing the abyss right here with the boat. And then as you cross the abyss, you meet the Reaper. No face, no identity,
Oh, yeah.
So it's sort of, again, the butterfly stuff showing, what's that in the upper left-hand corner?
Some kind of bird. Unfortunately, I have no idea what kind of fucking bird that is.
Those look like sticks.
Yeah, like trees.
Twigs or something.
Growing out of his head.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's like a dead green man or something.
Oh, yeah.
I do find it interesting, though, like, I've even thought about with other, Jason or Michael Myers. I think they are, in some ways, kind of showing the beast in a sense, and I think they're wearing masks because that shows they have not. If they are kind of like at the second sphere, or going up, really. I mean, that comes to like coming face to face with God. But before then, you would have no idea of yourself. You're not conscious of you yet. So I wonder if like faceless things are pointing at that because you actually don't have an image associated with you yet.
Yeah, like formless, right.
Yes.
It's the same thing I was thinking, but you worded it way better, yeah.
Thank you. I didn't think I was making sense, so thank you.
No, I know exactly what you mean, dude. This one I thought was weird because it reminds me.
Oh, yeah, I had saw this too, and I was like, of course, there's lightning, and then fucking, my opinion, that's Chesed and the blue, and then clowns. I mean, more clown stuff.
Yep. Yep, and then you got the lightning coming down, knowledge.
Yeah.
Gabora.
With Thor. Fucking Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
A little more Thor.
Yep. Oh, this is just a weird picture I saw on his on his Twitter. I wanted to show you real quick.
Yo, you know who I think posted the same picture? That one time, and I think I had commented on it. Fucking Fugel. Or he at least had an Easter. This was last Easter. It may not have been the same pic, but it was the same outfit.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, because I had even commented on it. I made a comment about it being fucking weird and creepy.
Mm-hmm. And then the comment on, before the picture, Mars needs children. What?
Yeah. That I would think possibly. I mean, this may be a stretch. Tiferet's a child, or can be depicted as a small child going back up the tree. Maybe that's a child now going down the rabbit hole, going back out of existence. Who knows?
Yeah, just a weird one. So, that's
fucking creepy.
If you want to, dude, when I saw this, I was like, "Holy shit, man!" It's just generally creepy.
Is he friends with? Is he friends with Elon?
With Musk?
Yeah, that sounds like some shit Elon Musk would say. He doesn't think we have enough children now. I mean, I'm assuming he must think Mars needs to be populated too. I'm telling you, that guy's got to be a fucking undercover Mormon. There's something up with that dude. Because he works with a lot of them, and he thinks we need more and more people. So, I don't know. So he'd be a good spokesperson for Handmaid's Tale. That movie.
It's so weird to see how he can do stuff. And people, like the right, for some reason, they have like a love obsession with Musk. And then he'll do stuff that totally contradicts things that he said before. And then, still like the right just loves Musk because, he's going to take over Twitter. Yeah. He's going to make the AI that won't, be planted into your brain and change your DNA and all that crazy shit.
Bullshit.
He's a weird one. So...
All right, then I guess I have some of his influences and then some of his charities, and then I guess we'll wrap it up there, and then we'll hit his books in the next one. I'm going to pull up my screen now. Some of these, like you said, you might have mentioned before. I'll just try to go through them real quick. This was a list that I came across. There was a list on Wikipedia that I did see and that Lux just used, and then there was another list that I came across that seemed to have more people on it. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, they may not be all correct, but I went off of that one. Again, you have Arthur. How did you pronounce his name? Arthur Machen?
Machen. I don't know, really. I mean, it could be Machen. Who knows?
You know what I did find interesting with his name, and I'll skip past this one. He did have Llewellyn in his middle name, and Llewellyn is like a gigantic, huge publishing company for magic books. So, yeah. Then I did have down A.E. White. I think you did mention him before. He was interested in occult and esoteric matters. He did also put out his own tarot card. It does mention Waite joined the Outer Order of the Order of the Golden Dawn in January of 1891 after being introduced to E.W. Berridge in 1893, and then he withdrew from the Golden Dawn. And then in 1896 he joined again. Whatever. But this guy was, and Waite also founded the Independent and Rectified Order of RR at AC. And he was a Freemason. So this guy, I think he's...
That would be the inner order. That's the inner order of the Golden Dawn, the R at AC.
Yeah, so somebody who made tarot card and was that deep into that shit was a person they supposedly had as an influence. And then we have Fritz Reuter Lieber. Fucking name. We got him down, and he is one of the fathers of sword and sorcery and coined the term sword and sorcery. He's also the first one to come up with with an actual... it's the first time for him to come up. He came up with the Pi Beta Kappa. And that is, like, I think, is the oldest academic honor society in the United States. So this guy even came up with that, too. So,
and I think a lot of times when it comes to the different fraternities in schools, I think it's sort of like training, because it's a secret society for itself. Yeah.
And I guess that's what I was getting at with this guy. Why I had all that shit. He did start, in my opinion, like you were saying, I think those fraternities can almost be secret societies in themselves. And this guy that he was influenced by started the first one, and this is what the fucking thing looked like. Was that the hidden hand? You got 3 stars. Very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Bloch was another one that he, he said he was influenced by. He did do, Bloch wrote hundreds of short stories and over 20 novels, usually crime fiction. That is one of his books. So
Fantastic Beast.
Yeah. So I included this because of the book cover, and I have a couple other ones that I think are interesting from this dude. You have this one. Then you have this one by Robert Bloch. The guy looks like practically a naked chick, and then you have that eye. Some weird-looking shit. It's by Robert Bloch. This one again by Robert Bloch, The Last Plea. It's very fucking... there's the anchor symbol on their forehead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
I'm glad we got off anchor. Then we got this one. She's red. Whatever she is wearing. It's red. She's sitting on green. You got this dude. Just another fucking weird picture to me, again, from the same guy. You have this guy, Robert Bloch. Another weird one. Black Magic Holiday by Robert Bloch. Then Mr. Margaret's Mermaid by Robert Bloch. I mean, this almost even wondered, like, is this supposed to be... the fuck was that card when we found the tarot card of the chick taking the water out and then dumping it back onto the land?
That's the moon card, I think. Or no, the star card. I'm sorry.
The star card, yeah. John Fowles was another person that he was influenced by. And John Robert Fowles, and he was from England. English novelist whose elusive and descriptive works combine psychological probings, chiefly of sex and love, and was an interest in social and philosophical issues. And this is The Magus by John Fowles. I find that pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that looks pretty occult to me. And we have W.W. Jacobs. That was another person that he was influenced by. And the thing that I thought was a little, again, this is, him with Stephen King, so much with the clown stuff and with it, and not to get too far into what you're going to show, I started questioning a lot of neither Quetzalcoatl-ish or Shriner stuff. And so the only reason I actually included this is because this writer did write The Monkey's Paw. So, I mean, there might be a stretch. And then he also wrote The Lady of the Barge.
Well, even with the monkey paw stuff, remember the 3 monkeys for Quetzalcoatl?
Yes, the Order of Q. In one of the lodges in Canada, they had a pin that showed the 3 monkeys on it.
And the paws were covering the eyes,
mm-hmm.
the ears, or the mouth. So it could be a metaphor for that.
Yeah, that's, all right, see, I'm glad you get it. See, this is why I added all that in, because it's just going back to other shit, and he has a lot of clown shit, and it made me think of the jesters, who are also associated with Quetzalcoatl, all that shit. So, yeah, and then the Shriners, who sometimes use monkeys. And then, like I said, he did do Lady of the Barge. That, in a way, kind of made me think of the afternoon Resh, when Hathor is in her barge, and you're praying to her across the sky for Resh, which is a Thelemic thing. So that's why I included those two books by that guy. It just made me think of those things. We have Robert Browning. Yeah, he was somebody else that covered. That is an influence. And the thing with him, the only thing I really wanted to mention about him, he was one of the 3 people at the time to really have the Pied Piper of Hamelin actually wrote about it. My opinion, I do think the Pied Piper of Hamelin is a totally occult story. And I think in a sense that maybe this book cover may be as well. Not saying the dude had to be writing it from that point of view, but I included it because you never know. So, and
illustrated by Kate Greenaway.
Yeah, Greenaway. Yeah. So yeah, those are just some of the other people that I know that he was influenced by, and that I thought was kind of maybe worth mentioning. And then we'll get into his charities. All right. So if you look to the stars, you see that he might also he might be donating to more than places that this shows. But I checked him out on this, and he does give to the Heifer International, the STK Foundation, which is him, and the Jimmy Fund. Heifer International, celebrity supporters and events, and they're promoting strong communities, sustainability, environmental protection, and peace by providing livestock and training in order to alleviate hunger and poverty and encourage self-reliance. That is the Heifer. People that have supporters, I'll leave this up, but if you want to take a look at it, you got Jimmy Carter, you got Barbara Bush, a couple other names up there.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. There's a bunch of other names: Ellen DeGeneres, Meryl Streep, Mia Farrow, another fucking fucktard that just posted something retarded on Twitter not too long ago. Oprah. I think I actually quoted her tweet, possibly. It was so fucking stupid. I forgot what it was for. Hillary Clinton, Jane Fonda, a bunch of names on there. Rosie O'Donnell, Sarah McLean, a bunch of names have all donated to this place. Here it is again. I don't even know how to say Heifer International. That in itself, if it's referring to a cow or a bull, I would even question that. Mm-hmm. Just showing you real quick what the screen, what their website kind of looks like. They're located at One World Avenue, Little Rock, Arkansas. Then right here, looking them up, they are Little Rock, Arkansas, right there. They have a fuck ton of them, and one of them does, 2 of them, one that's active. Actually, sorry, both of them that are active. The one in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the one in Warwick, Rhode Island are actually owned by United Corporation Services.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, and the other, there's a few up top. Oh, shit, did I miss some on the other page? No. All right, so, you have the United Corporate Services, which we have come across before, which we think might actually technically be the United States government. So I found that interesting with this one. And if you go down a little bit more, you will also see CT Corporation has been associated with this project. Heifer Project International has been associated with them as well, and we have come up with them so many fucking times. Their names are literally on lodges for the Moose Lodge. CT Corp, United States Corp, both things that we have gone back to numerous times with weird shit.
I know CT Corp at this point, they got to start paying us because we're giving them so much promotion.
I gotta get a sponsor for them, right?
Right.
They should fucking start sponsoring us at this point. Fuck's sake.
Oh, dude, it's crazy. Even when you look all the way down, you notice how at the beginning it says CT Corp, but there's a space between the C and the T. Yeah. And then you go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
There isn't.
And it says there's none, but it's still CT.
I honestly, and I think we talked about this before, I honestly think, and I think you agree with me, they do this shit. So then if I was to go now look up CT Corporation System, if I was to click on the one without the space, the one with the spaces won't show up. So then it actually looks like less shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same fucking thing. Here we go again. I thought what was interesting, Heifer International. I was looking it up in New York, and I was like, fuck, it's at 28 Liberty Street. Why do I think that sounds familiar? I'm like, I know I've heard of that before. Here it is again, the one in New York. Heifer Project International, CT Corporation System, 28 Liberty Street. Oh, that's right. That's where lodge number 666 of the Loyal Order of the Moose is at. Underneath CT Corp at the same fucking address. And I decided just to see how much money they have. I mean, this one says, was that 143 million? Assets, 328 million. And we got gross receipts down here on this bottom one, 98 million. Assets, 220 million. I mean, I would just assume it. I mean, that much amount of money, dude. You must be doing a lot of help for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then you got the Stephen and Tabitha King Foundation. I just looked up real quick. And that is a thing that I might get into in part 2. I actually totally forgot about it. Telling on myself now. Something I was going to look into if you haven't. He does own a radio station. So, and you can even see
I didn't see that.
Yeah, care of radio station WZON. He does have a radio station actually too. Yeah, so I'm going to have to take a note on that and come back with it on episode 2 since I mentioned it now.
Yeah.
Stephen and Tabitha King Foundation. I just wanted to see how much, again, it's in New York. I just wanted to look up, what they're about. I did pull up their taxes from GuideStar just to see how much money they've brought up or accumulated. You start seeing some pretty impressive numbers here. You got 9 million, you got 3 million paid out. They're making money. 16 million, 19 million. I mean, there's a lot of money going through these things. According to GuideStar, it's $11 million. Now, this could all be, technically donated from him. The other ones I'm not so sure about. Like that other one I was just saying, that's a fuck ton of money. And this Jimmy Fund is even more fucking money. This is the Jimmy Fund that he also donates to, and it's also associated with the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Yeah, you see here in the bottom again, the Dana-Farber campaign, the Jimmy Fund, both pretty much the same thing. Here's the address. Look up Jimmy Fund. Did you know it? You get a CT Corp and the corporation company.
Wow, they had to check them both off, I guess, for that one.
Yeah. And I thought this was interesting. They also do the Pan Mass Challenge. Again, I thought that was interesting because of Pan. And I also find, I understand this is done on bikes. They do ride their bikes and raise money. But again, in my opinion, you're seeing the wheels again. The spinning wheels.
And the representation of Pan again, too.
Yes, that I will get into when I cover one of his books. Yeah, I thought the Lawnmower Man was going to show AI, and no, it actually talked about Pan and was a hell of a lot shorter than the movie.
Huh.
Yes. Pan Mass Challenge. They have raised $66 million. And they generate about 55% of the Jimmy Fund's annual revenue as of 2019. So I just wanted to cover them because they do put into the Jimmy Fund as well. There is their logo again. It's a P, M, and then a C, and then those are turned into wheels. You know, I think Stephen King does like the Wheel of Fortune. He mentions it in 1408, and I think other things that you have seen and mentioned. So I just, is this all, kind of symbolism that just goes along with each other?
Yeah.
Now, the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Now, I mean, between both of these, I don't even understand how cancer's still around because they've raised over $2 billion and they have assets of over $4 billion. So I don't know how cancer's still killing people.
And it's been around since what? This was a major thing in like the 70s.
Yep.
And all of this time later, they still haven't been able to figure out how to cure cancer with, that's just one, right? The company just showed us one nonprofit.
Yeah, you know what's funny? When I was even telling my wife about that, she's like, and that's one nonprofit for cancer. That's just one. Think of how many are out there. With all that money, we still can't cure cancer.
Oh, right. And just keep in mind, too, that, a strange bug appeared not long ago, right? And they were able to fix that bug.
Oh, yeah. Real quick.
Real quick, like 6 months, right? They had something ready for it.
Yeah.
But not cancer since it's been around for 60 years or something.
Yeah. And after a few $1 billion, nothing. No.
Right.
And I found this, and I thought this was interesting, going along with his libtardedness. Stephen King donates to Maine Gun Control Coalition.
Oh, okay.
Portland, Maine, Stephen King and his wife have made a donation to a Maine group advocating for stricter gun control laws. King says the gift was 5 figures, but does not want to say more about it because charity is supposed to be a private thing. See, now I would argue with that because technically if you have a charity, it can't be private. You have to go on GuideStar. You have to actually show who you're getting your money from and where it's going. So technically, Stephen King, it is not a private thing, but we'll go with that one. The Coalition for a Safer Maine says King is a gun owner and a defender of the Second Amendment who supports expanding background checks on gun sales and a ban on the sale of high-capacity ammunition magazines. It says that the substantial contribution from the Salem's Lot author and fellow author Tabitha King will help fund its advocacy efforts. So, I mean, that's the last one that I have on his donation stuff. I mean, it wasn't that deep, but we did come across CT Corp. I thought it was interesting, United States Corp. And even though he's a gun owner, but I guess, I mean, when you're a libtard, you're a libtard. He still thinks that we should have laws on him. So, I mean, this guy, he's like, I got guns, but we need stricter laws. It's amazing how a gun owner can come out and say that. You've already got your fucking gun, so who gives a fuck about anybody else owning one, right?
Right. And it's like, I mean, so much of it's just nonsense, like the rationale for the reduction of magazine size and all that crazy stuff. It's just, my point is, if you really know guns, right, there's no reason why you would possibly be trying to pass legislation like that. Because it just, logically, it makes no sense. So what it is, I think, in my opinion, you get guys like that who say, oh, no, I have a gun. All I want to do, listen, I don't want to get rid of all the guns. I just want to reduce the magazine capacity. I just want to get rid of a certain model. That's just a stepping stone. Because then people are like, oh, well, he is a gun owner. That does sound kind of rational. Okay. So then they give a little bit. Then they give a little bit before you know it. Mm-hmm. Those policies that were what we just saw are long in the past, and the restrictions are way crazier.
Oh, so I mean, I think you even have talked about this, and it's not even like we even really go on about politics anymore. But I think we've even said on our own, like, the right has tiptoed so far over to the left that you really actually don't have a left and right choice anymore. You have a far left and a little bit of a left choice. You really don't have the left and the right anymore.
Yeah,
so
exactly,
that's
dude.
exactly what happens. You start to tiptoe that way, and before you realize it, you're a gun owner trying to take away gun rights.
Right.
That's how that happens.
Yeah, it's wild to see. And I got a feeling the reason why they try and do it that way is because obviously if they, tried to take all guns away or all ammunition or something that extreme, the public would be in an uproar. But what you do is over time, you convince people to give things up, small little things.
Tiptoe.
And then you look back and you realize how far you've come. It's all gone.
And this is what happens when you decide to get high off of Robitussin. That is the effects of mouthwash and Robitussin tripping.
It's got him tripping, dude.
Yeah, literally tripping. Fuck. I do want to say real quick, though, those charities that I covered, I'm not saying that they're not helping anybody, but I do think the amounts of money and who they're associated with, I think those charities are shady. Honestly, I think most charities, I hate to say it, that are huge and well-known, I think most of them are all shady. Yep. Because if you understand the laws that are even needed for non-for-profit or charity, there is plenty of loopholes for people to make money still. Because technically you need people to run that free company that you're going to have to pay. So
exactly, dude.
There is tons of ways of still making it rich off of charities and non-for-profit that is completely legal.
Yep.
So that's why I just wanted to add those in because there are massive amounts of money. And like I said, with that amount of money, I just, I think there should be more breakthroughs in cancer, in my opinion.
Dude, absolutely.
Or is that just a sickness that, and another thing with cancer too, I just feel like that is something that they probably have the cure for, but it's just a money pit for us to spend on when we get it. So is that a whole catch-22 in itself?
Yeah. Spot on, man. You got it. I mean, that's absolutely true. It's just they make more money when they don't cure something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
I mean, and then look at that other Heifer International one. The amount of money they raised. I mean, what the fuck? Are still homeless people out in the streets here?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know. Not trying to knock them too much, but I just do question those things are really doing what they say.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that over and over again with a bunch of other, foundations with these secret societies linked with the moose and the elk and all that kind of crazy shit.
What I had wanted to do, and unfortunately I didn't, and people are going to be like, oh, why the fuck are you even mentioning this? If people are interested, there was something I wanted to look into. I started to try to, and it wasn't as easy as I thought it was. And honestly, it's probably doable if I went into GuideStar and looked at all their tax shit, but you can actually, I would be able to find out probably if I spent the amount of time and knew where to look. Like I was saying before, these places will have to show you where they have sent money. I'm rather interested in knowing like where their money's going to as well that they're pulling in. I wonder if it's almost like like the same thing we came across with was the Moose Lodge. They were loaded, but the Shriners were broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, these just things of moving around money and evading taxes because of it. I mean, I know this all might be a stretch, but you never know.
I mean, like you said, though, it's so irregular and strange that one can be so rich and the other one be so poor. To me, again, not saying it as fact, but it reminds me of a way that like the mob would move around money.
Yes. Yep.
So
So what I'm getting at is just wondering how, how nice or how real are these charities? How legit are they really? But so that's what I had, and I guess that's the end of episode 1. But
well, I got one more thing I wanted to show real quick to tie up the stuff that I mentioned earlier.
Is that your share screen at the bottom? I've been ignoring. Sorry.
Oh no, that's the stuff. This is the stuff that I mentioned earlier, like when we were talking about like his influences and other art stuff that he does. So I decided to look into this a little bit. I think you're going to be blown away. This is a album. Okay, it was released in 2010, and this is it's by a band called Hierophant, which is a very obvious occult meaning, occult term. You know, even in the Golden Dawn, the very person at the highest rank was called the Hierophant.
I was going to ask that. I was going to say, isn't that like at least in secret societies, I'm pretty sure those are like labels for certain people in some of them.
Oh yeah, and it's really like the highest one for the Golden Dawn in the Outer Order, because it represents, you know, sort of like Magnus, or the top that would link to Chokmah. So very occult term. And I found out that when you look into this band, well, guess what? They had King appear on one of the albums, and it was released in 2010 as a compact disc, download, or a vinyl. Now, in the album, or for the album, the band decided to go ahead on Alex Jones' show, right? InfoWars program. They promoted this album on Alex Jones' show.
Not a surprise.
Right. And the name of the album is Black Ribbons. So it talks here about, you know, well, another deluxe edition of Black Ribbons was released in 2016. And you can see here that they're saying that the album that they wrote in 2010 that's on this re-release, we're pretty close to what's happening now with shootings of cops, of all black people, and the Trump versus Clinton camps. They are very divided, and that's the way they like it, divide and conquer, man. And one day the final executive order is going to be, well, you people can't handle being around each other, so we're going to have to step in and set rules. That's what Black Ribbons is about.
Black Ribbons and Black Mirror.
Mm-hmm. So just keep that in mind for, you know, a second. The fact that this album was written in 2010, they're foreshadowing a lot of stuff, and they know. To me, that sounds a lot like lockdown. Sounds a lot like quarantine to me. Separating people, set in and, you know, set up rules.
So. I mean, even and then just real quick, I hate to say it, but I mean, even the Alex Jones thing is pretty interesting. But then it even says on here, so Marilyn Manson. One of the album's fans was Marilyn Manson, which led to the musician meeting Jennings in 2013. So you got in this little article right there, you got Alex Jones, Marilyn Manson, and David Bowie's name all in this article.
Yeah, and the fact that Jennings, which is, you know, one of the Hierophant guys, he produced the 11th studio album for Marilyn Manson, which I was like, damn, it's just like the completion of the tree, right? So wanted to show real quick that this is something that King was involved in. Okay, so right here, he collaborated. Oh, sorry. This is one kind of interesting that King also did a narrative speaking for Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. Didn't know that. Oh. And then he also collaborated with Michael Jackson to create Ghosts in 1996. I did not know that.
No, neither did I.
So apparently he also did a small spoken part for Everlong by the Foo Fighters.
Jeez.
Or like a cover version of it. I don't know. But yeah, the most important part is that he is collaborating with Shooter Jennings and his band Hierophant, providing the narration for the album Black Ribbons that we were just talking about. So I decided to go and take a look at this album and what its lyrics were. You can pause this if you want, but you know, for people who want to read the whole thing, it's talking about a lot of the inspiration that came, you know, for Black Ribbons was from conspiracy theorist David Icke.
You know, I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, if he doesn't bring up David Icke, I'm like, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, so we've gone to Alex Jones to David Icke now. Holy fuck.
Right.
Wow. I mean, and listen, I know I think people already know what I think about David Icke already. So, You know, he could say a whole lot more in a totally different way. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's just like you said, it's weird that, you know, this album has Ike and was promoted by Alex Jones, at least on his show. So let's take a look at some of the lyrics. Tonight, I've chosen to play the one band the American fascists don't want me to play. Tonight, I'm going to go off the air with the music of Hierophant. For those of you, so this is, you know, in my opinion, talking about vibration and how it can be used over radio waves. For those of you that are not familiar, you'll get a taste of Hierophant's music tonight, and their message is light. I started you off with the Wake Up from the 2009 album Bohemian Grove, their first and most radical. Love your family, love your neighbors, love your enemy as yourself. Go on loving. It's what humans do best, and the one thing they can't kill. So there's a lot of breakdown here, like the colors and, you know, the reference to light and Hierophant. So obviously this is an occult message. And the way that it's framed in the album is this is literally King talking, right? He's trying to play the role in this album of being a guy similar to Alex Jones. If you listen to the album, he tries to even sound like him. I mean, it's crazy.
Wow. That's fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
This kind of bugged me out.
Yep. Another song, Fear of God and Fear of Black Power. Fear of the end of the burning tower, collapsing tower, right? This symbology from the tarot, the burning tower. To collide. When all of the sudden the door blows open, wind starts howling, knocking candles out, and she arrives. The Queen of Hearts will break me, makes me feel like Judas, baby. Does she ever float through your mind? Queen of Hearts is aching, silent, like Ophiuchus, baby. Does she ever crash into your mind? King of Hearts will break me, makes me feel like Judas, baby. Does he ever float through your mind? King of Hearts is aching.
Even that name, how did you pronounce that other one? The Ophiuchus? Whatever.
Ophiuchus.
Yeah, what is? I know that's from something else too. Isn't that like a god or some shit too?
Yeah, I couldn't think of it off the top of my head, and definitely agree with you. I just can't pinpoint it.
Oh no, it's a constellation. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it's a constellation. It's considered a large constellation.
I could have sworn it was associated with some type of Greek mythology too. I don't know.
It is, meaning serpent bearer.
So yeah, man, it's like, you know, so silence, like Ophiuchus, baby. It's more of the silence thing that we saw. Silence of Banah, the Queen of Hearts, which is what I think is also being represented by Banah here. The Scarlet Horde. Well, that's why it's the Queen of Hearts.
I know I covered this, and I'm sure we mentioned this. I covered this on my own show. I'm sure we mentioned this in the Scarlet Horse somewhere. But I have shown depictions of Mother Mary having like swords or stuff like going through a heart on her chest. Sometimes there's 3, which I think symbolizes Binah. Sometimes they'll show 7, which I think symbolizes how many spheres are below Binah. But the Queen of Hearts, I have seen, Mary, who I do think is associated with Binah, with a heart out of her chest with shit stabbed through it. Very weird, my man.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Yeah, you see that all through the tarot too.
Yes.
In like the hearts, constantly swords piercing hearts.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another one. She's the sorceress, and I am her jester.
Ha!
I am her captain, and I am her vessel. And time is a thief of the twilight of life. It burns like a cigarette in the hand of wasted life, and I'll take my time with you. And I don't want no money from you. Oh, no promises that you'll be true. Yeah, you can do what you want to do, and all I ask is that you push it to the breaking point. Push me to the breaking point. Push me to the breaking point. Queen of Spades radiates light. My love for you couldn't be more strong. It's hard for you and me. All I ask is you. Then it repeats the chorus again. Like, this whole thing is an occult message.
Yeah.
Sorcerer, jester, being her vessel for the Queen of Spades this time.
I definitely think there's some fuckery going on in these lyrics.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's the same thing over and over.
I'm still blown away by the Alex Jones and David Icke, to be totally honest with you.
And then think about how occult this album is. And then they go on Alex Jones' show to promote it.
It could be.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a funny thing, too. I hate to say with Alex Jones and David Icke. It's like you could literally those motherfuckers could be live on TV eating a fucking baby, and people be like, I don't know, that shit's fake, or it's, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why people keep on thinking these motherfuckers are like, whatever.
And it's a really obscure band, and they're talking about all this occult stuff. It's like, why would you, out of all the places to promote your new album filled of occultism, it's going to be Alex Jones' show?
Yeah, and David Icke.
Weird. Yeah. So this is the one particularly fucking weird, guys. So again, this album was written in 2010. 10 years before we had the germ that popped up. Chaos is hanging around. Put your ear to the ground and shudder from the sound. The death machine ain't slowing down. It's gaining pound for pound. A gas mask is a good tool in the summer of rage.
Oh.
Remember the summer of rage we literally had where cities were burning all across the United States because of BLM and all this crazy shit? Mm-hmm. The building mass graves within the states. You and I, they'll vaccinate. They're preparing us for an all-out police state. 10 years. 10 years before all of this happened. And how the hell did they know that all of this was going to go down enough to write it into an album that's almost a timeline for everything that's fucking happened?
So Stephen King wrote Stranger Things, and him and this band wrote out the pandemic. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck.
Hush, hush, little child. Your world is going wild. Can't trust nothing but the love in your mama's eyes. Little child salvation is in your smile. Just wish I could be alive to see the whole thing in your eyes. Our only weapon's total defiance. Let our love for our neighbors guide us. Speak loud when they try to silence us. Withhold when they try to fight us. I mean, I was reading this shit and I was so blown away.
Especially Summer of Rage.
Yep.
Like, I really hate to say it, the Summer of Rage, I mean, the jab, I mean, those kind of go hand in hand.
And even if you look to, what'd you say?
I said, no, but the Summer of Rage in itself just makes me think of what happened recently, which is the same thing as the pandemic.
Yeah, and then they're talking about doing the vaccine thing in the song. And if you look back at the songs I just showed, it almost shows a complete storyline from Clinton, like Queen of Hearts, and then like the King of Spades would be opposites, like, so maybe Trump. I don't know.
Yeah. I could see that for sure. Well, I mean, the Summer of Rage, what I was thinking was 2 years ago. I mean, that was still when Trump was president, before Biden took office, when we had all those peaceful protesting going on. I consider that the Summer of Rage, and what did we get right after that? Fucking Jabberwockies.
Yep. Yep, and saying they're going to lock everything down to keep people separated so they can't communicate. I mean, it's just so specific. I don't know how the fuck that someone could create this type of album and not know what was going to happen. I don't know. And then the fact that King's on it, doing all this narration about the songs. It's got such occult principles. Yeah. So just wanted to show this to finish up. This is the Symbol album cover for Shooter Jennings, the Hierophant album.
Black Ribbons.
This is the album cover. Got the all-seeing eye.
The keyhole. Is that Janice back there with the key? Maybe that's how we got in.
Yeah. Yeah. So just obviously a very occult symbol there that they're using, and just wanted to finish up with that because
Your black ribbons
damn,
even
it
makes
blew
me
me
think
away.
of. I mean, this could be where they got the name from, but like, if you take a white piece of paper, it's just white. There's nothing to it. But once you put it into that typewriter and hit that black ribbon, now you are adding something to the paper. So that would even
you're
be
right.
showing. I mean, in my opinion, there's no form to that paper except for the shape that it's cut in until you actually start typing on it. Now you're giving it form and structure.
Yeah.
Technically, through the black ribbon and the keys that are hitting it, striking it. Oh, the keys! Oh, shit!
Yeah, and then you got the keys. Yeah.
No!
Right.
Shit!
Well, shit.
And that's why you listen to the Occult Rejects. Not to be a cocky prick.
It makes me even think, man, like it's how we kind of started the episode was talking about tulpas and how your thoughts and what you are bringing into reality, the more that someone thinks it, like, or groups of people think this, they can will reality in a certain direction or different archetypes into our reality. And just looking at this, it's pretty crazy to see, because maybe we're not so off with the tulpas thing. They could be using certain occult archetypes to create or influence society, or what's going to happen next, because that's a perfect outline for what happened in the last couple of years.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So
damn, that was a good one. That was damn.
Look at this, March 2nd. Wait, that's 2010. Wasn't that the first time around the same time 10 years later that it started, the germ? It was in March 2020.
Yeah, you might be right. Let me look that up. When was Corona considered? I had looked that up too, because it did go along with something that I think I used when I covered the Queen. And I looked up the date, but I forgot when it was.
I could have sworn it was March
11th, 2020.
Ah!
That is when that's when WHO declared it a scamdemic.
Wow.
Yep. So 10 years and 8 days later.
Yep.
Which crazy, which would add up to 9 or be a multiple of 9.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting.
So yeah, that's all the crazy stuff I have for episode 1, and
yeah, that was
a pretty good one so far.
Yeah, I thought this was actually fucking fun, especially the shit at the end. Damn, dude, you hit me good with that shit.
Crazy. I found this a couple days ago, and I just couldn't believe that it was. I was like, I got to include this shit.
Yeah, you did. I love it. Oh man, so yeah, that actually, I mean, they always do. They always come out better than I expected, and that was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So thank you, my man. So
thank you, dude.
That is the end of the Stephen King series. The next episode, we will be going into some of his books. I don't know if this will be 2 or 3 episodes, however long. But yeah, the next episode, we will be going into his books, and I'll look into that radio station that I mentioned. But yeah, the links for all of our stuff is in the bottom. Please check out our Element server. We do have that. It's a lot like Discord, but it won't come down. We got other shows in there and just a whole bunch of other channels and topics. Definitely check that out. Unfortunately, it's another app, but I don't think we'll come down like we did on Discord. I'm just trying to push that a little bit more. I tend to forget about it sometimes. Definitely check it out. We got a lot of awesome people in there. And the link for Lux's show, Lux Rising, that will be in the bottom, as well as the link to my show. And all the links for the Occult Rejects. Hopefully this will be out on YouTube. Our strike comes off on the 19th because we got another one for inciting violence covering the Kabbalah on episode 2. I don't know how the fuck that's possible. But hopefully some of you will get to watch this. If you're listening to it, it's at least still up on BitChute and Rumble if you want to see the screen. But like I said, hopefully this is available on YouTube as well. We still got that going. We got 2 strikes, and yeah, hoping not for a third. But yeah, check that out. Definitely, and like what I was getting at with the YouTube, definitely check out the tour more, because I'll have all 3 shows, and God willing, as long as it's still up, knock on wood, they'll have all 3 of our shows on there as well. So definitely check that out. Yeah, that's enough out of me, and that was the end of another banging Occult Rejects episode. Thank you, my man Lux, and until the next one, everybody be well. Later.